Well, good afternoon or whatever. I just had to stop and re-record again because, well, there's some things about to happen that were going to make noise and I couldn't exactly stop them or have any right or expectation to. So, I have to start again. Anyway, the dog isn't going to be in this video, and the reason being is I've tried to get her in frame again, and she's being especially ornery today, and it's just simply not going to happen. I'm sorry about that. For those of you that are looking forward to seeing the dog, I'm sorry. But like I said before, Article 1 of the Idaho Republican Platform, I'm continuing the video series on it. Article 1 is a little bit longer than I remembered it, or, back when I started this. So, I split it up. Last video, of course, I did sections 1 through 3, and now I'm going to close it out, starting with section 4. Now, a lot of these ideas do kind of run together, and, well, it's because it's under the same article. A lot of those ideas will intersect with each other. I'm also going to be recording today something I have a lot of things to say about. There's some rule changes proposed in the Ada County Republican Party that I feel I should speak out about, especially some of the details, therein. So I'll be making a video about that just right after this. But for now, we'll start with Section 4, Sound Currency. Now, let's see if I have that above the... Yep, I have that above the halfway point this time. Section 4, Sound Currency. We recognize the failure of the Federal Reserve System to maintain a sound U.S. dollar and the dangers of mercantile banks controlling the issuance of our currency. We believe the Federal Reserve Bank should be abolished and the issuing power restored to the people with the stipulation that the U.S. dollar be backed by gold and silver. We believe Idahoans need to protect their savings from the ravages of inflation, which is hidden taxation, and encourage citizens to participate in a systematic acquisition of precious metals which represent real value as opposed to paper currencies. Now, some of this is really bog standard Republican, and some of this is really bog standard Republican that is, I think, unjustly panned as some sort of far right thing or some fascist thing or some such. But it's not exactly, it's not exactly an outlandish thing to say, hey, there's some things going wrong with the Federal Reserve System. And really, money should be backed by something instead of just currency having a value of whatever someone says it is. That's literally a fiat currency. That's not good. That is basically just wishing financial ruin on your country. And not only that, but bad times can be made so many orders of magnitude worse if if someone calls on the value of it. You know what I mean? But and I really want, if somebody disagrees, if somebody is Republican and disagrees with this, I want you to say so, but say why. We can have that discussion, as I say. So we'll just skip to Section 5. Sometimes I refer to part of this as the spirit of it, but not necessarily the letter of it, as being, a more involved in government kind of thing, the citizen involvement in government, that kind of thing. And that's generally what it is, but it really has more to do with some of the things I was just talking about. Section 5, Legislature, subsection A, says we encourage strong support of our state legislature directed by Republicans for more than 3 decades, as well as our elected constitutional officers, and for the manner in which they work together to balance the budget and improve Idaho's economy. That's pretty bland Republicanism there. I mean, plus, we are the majority in the party, of course. We're gonna say something like that. Subsection B, we support the current move to zero-based budgeting and other appropriate or other appropriate budgeting techniques. We believe growth can be attained in a sound, responsible manner by holding taxes down, granting business incentives, and refusing to grant excessive demands for increased spending. So, I can see why somebody might refer to this as some sort of outlandish thing, but really this is just another instance of bland Republicanism. I mean, especially in the last video, we already referenced a bunch of things having to do with not operating on debt. And that's kind of an important thing because, you need to actually only use money that is actually there. And so, I don't think that's an un-Republican notion. And holding taxes down and at small random times, granting businesses, incentives and refusing excessive spending. These are all actually rather centrist Republican things, to be quite honest. This was not even a right-wing thing. This is just good policy. Subsection C, we support reduction of Idaho's income tax rates and encourage reduction of property taxes whenever possible. Yeah, well, if this is just bland Republicanism right there, because if you were to go to the far right part of it, you would refer to taxation as theft. So, yeah, this is quintessentially Republican right there. I mean, subsection C, rather, right there. That's the standard of a Republican. Now this subsection is a little bit longer text than normal, but we'll go through it here. We believe the state of Idaho should strongly assert its sovereignty under the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It has now become about that the accumulated usurpations by the federal government of the Idaho state. I'm going to start that over again. I'm sorry. We believe the state of Idaho should strongly assert its sovereignty under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It has now become about that the accumulated usurpations by the federal government of Idaho state sovereignty has reached a point of complete intolerance. The Idaho Republican Party hereby recommends that the Idaho legislature and governor nullify any and all existing future unconstitutional federal mandates, federal court opinions, and laws, funded or unfunded, that infringe on Idaho's 10th Amendment sovereignty. We also recommend that the state of Idaho continue to request funding and assistance from the federal government, which complies with the constitutional provision of the 10th Amendment, and recommend the state of Idaho resist the withholding of federal funds as means of forced compliance with the unconstitutional federal mandates and laws. Now, there's a few layers to this. First, of course, automatically, that they start with is you really need to go back to what people were saying in the Federalist Papers and generally what the constitutional framers and the Founding Fathers were meaning to do. And that is to not exactly have a strong federal government, but just one that had certain responsibilities, and the state governments had other responsibilities. And so in this country we've gotten away from that pretty hard. And not only that, but the federal government has basically leveraged the federal funding of things that it is responsible for. They've leveraged it to force states into compliance, which is completely backwards to how the system is supposed to work. And the 10th Amendment is basically, I'm not going to go grab it, but you can, the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Remember, they did a Constitution, and then there's a bunch of things that they needed to clarify, and so, and so those became the 10 amendments. That's what that literally means. And the 10th one, because it wasn't made explicitly clear in the text of the Constitution as it was at that point, is that things that aren't delegated explicitly, aren't given to the federal government explicitly already in the Constitution, is then retained by the states. And and that includes a few different things like certain rights and responsibilities and whatnot. And so when the government does something that the federal government does something that the state government is supposed to be doing, well, that's literally a constitutional violation of the 10th Amendment. And so that's what they're getting at there. Now, I have had people tell me that this is literally fascist. No, that's not a joke or a caricature I'm making of somebody. People have told me that this part of the platform is literally fascist because the state government has responsibility where the federal government does not. But I understand it. I understand it a lot less than some other things I've said this about, but I understand it if a Republican, especially not a Republican, disagrees with this. However, let's have that conversation because this is the standard right here, of what a Republican is. And it does use some pretty strong language, granted. But if you have some sort of view or position otherwise, maybe you should make that clear instead of just denouncing the platform. Because the platform is what goes through generations of discussion and passage. You came to your conclusions and views on your own. So, moving right along to subsection E, we support the right of every qualified citizen to seek elective office, affirm the right of voters to vote for the candidate of their choice, recognize the need for experience and institutional memory in elective office, and oppose the imposition of term limits in Idaho. Now, this one will definitely split off a lot of people I know. And it's entirely possible that this part, we might, at a convention, we might strike this part of the platform. Not going to lie there. This is one of the things where you can absolutely disagree with the platform on. Although it's a really good idea to tell people that you disagree with it and why. But right now, this is the standard, and really, I suspect that this was this was originally written as more of a citizen involvement thing, as I was referencing earlier. But, yeah. Maybe recognizing the institution, the need for experience and institutional memory in office, maybe that could be reworded a little better. But you know what? If you want to change that, try, do your best to be selected as a delegate to the state convention. Write up and be prepared to argue for changing of that part. Let's have that discussion. Not only that, let's have that discussion in a proper committee where we can come together as Republicans and talk specifically about that. Let's not call anybody names over this. Now, subsection F goes into a lot of constituent parts, and I'm not even going to... I can't remember the name of all of these different subparts, so we're just going to read. We support amending the Idaho Constitution to Article 3, Section 2, as follows. Strike paragraph 2 and amend as follows. Whenever there is reason to reapportion the legislature or to provide new congressional district boundaries of the state, or both because of the new federal census or because of a decision of a court of competent jurisdiction, a commission of reapportionment shall be formed on order of the Secretary of State. The commission shall be... Okay, so this is going into very big part of what we want as a Republican, and it's basically to make the system of how we do such things in Idaho more small R Republican, not big R Republican as in Republican Party, but small R Republican as in an adjective. Literally put in the thing that we advocate for. So it's kind of redundant to actually put this in the platform, but here's all of that. You know, this is a document that you can definitely go see. And all of that. Now, section 6. This might be the last section of the article. Oh wait, there's a subsection G right before that. Okay. We believe the legislature should present amendments to the people with the ballot language identical to the language of the amendment. I was told what that subsection came from originally, and it was a bit of a mess up situation. I don't remembering exactly what it was. However, that's a completely Republican thing to, is that the thing that you told the people should match what you're doing. Pretty simple. That's a bog standard Republican. That was below the halfway point. There it is. We believe the legislature should present amendments to the people with the ballot language identical to the language of the amendment. We just recently amended our Constitution, in fact, to allow the Idaho legislature to call itself back into session if it needs. And we definitely could have used that in recent times. So, Section 6. Honest elections and the Electoral College. Now, I've spoken a bit in public about this kind of thing before, and it is no mystery what I think about such things. But we'll read. Subsection A. We oppose the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact and any other scheme to abolish or distort the procedures of the Electoral College. An unconstitutional effort to impose national popular vote would be a grave threat to our federal system and a guarantee of corruption, as every ballot box in every state would offer a chance to seal the United States presidency. We urge the Idaho State Legislature to oppose any attempts to modify the Electoral College or adopt the National I need to scroll down. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. I've said a lot about this. Now, the thing is that with the electoral, the Electoral College, that is the thing that how we've elected a president for quite some time, and you really need to go back into what the Founding Fathers were saying and the Federalist Papers and a lot of the writings of the time to get into exactly why. Now, if this were just simply a direct democracy or something approximating that, we wouldn't have an electoral college. However, because there are such things, and this is a thing that is as old as time, that there are differences between urban and rural and suburban and whatnot, and there are naturally going to be differences between groups of people, and not only that, but desires of people to use the mob to oppress people. It is a thing built in to the Constitution. This is not an accident. It is something built into the United States Constitution, in which the more rural parts of the country, and this is throughout time, this is from the beginning until now, this is not exact, this is not a that was then, this is now kind of thing, the rural parts are supposed to have measures put in place that redress the balance of power, away from the concentration of cities. Because if you had just a direct democracy vote, only people in, say, 3 or 4 cities would have the choice of electing a president, not the entire country. You know, think about that one for a moment. The rural parts would be entirely disenfranchised if you were to go to just a simple direct democracy or some derivation thereof. So what we're getting at here is that attempts to circumvent the Electoral College are inherently un-Republican. We are against such things because it would effectively devolve into tyranny if we did away with the Electoral College or modified it too much to where it doesn't work properly anymore or anything like that. And it is in the Constitution that the states are supposed to more or less determine and administer their own elections and how they do them. However, we shouldn't be mixing that power with the will of the other states. This state picks this one, okay. This state might also pick that one or pick another. It's not a Republican opinion to at all comply with the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. I'm getting to the end here. You know what? We're going to do citizen involvement in government. That's the Article 2. We're going to be doing that, at least that, in the next video. Now, if it's a pretty easy thing to contact me, I think. And it's also pretty easy to post comments or replies or what have you. But for now, I'm going to stop and wish you all well. You all have a good day.